certain things put you in bondage I can't do anything about. I cannot do anything about some of the things you're going through. But there are some things that we just make our own bed. First thing, oaths and vows. Oaths and vows. Jesus was very against oaths, like in an over-the-top way. Why? Well, you got to understand the Torah. In the book of Numbers, it says this. It says that it is the man's responsibility in his home. Now, this is a big thing. A man's responsibility in his home is to negate every oath or vow spoken out of the mouth of his wife or his daughter so that the bondage from it doesn't come over their house. So in the act of eating or whatever, in the act of just doing life, sometimes we tend to make oaths. And if a husband heard his wife make an oath, he was to call her out right there. Not for meanness, not to put her down. Just say, no. That brings bondage. We negate that. Lord, Yahweh, we negate this over our house. Do not let the power of that oath settle over us. Because here was the thought. When you make an oath, the entire universe shifts to fulfill your oath. Or, on one way, it shifts to make you fulfill your oath. In another way, there's another side of the universe that shifts to make you break it. It just creates all kinds of problems. So even if you think all the way back to your childhood, the oaths that you made, your entire life is a reminder of that oath. As soon as you make an oath, I'm telling you, the universe shifts to give you an opportunity to break it or to keep it. I would never meet a man in a bar. Really? Oath. I would, even if I had millions of dollars, I would never spend money on that. You would never. Even if my husband did this, I would never leave him. Always looking down on someone else who's going through something you can't understand. So we make these oaths. I would always do it this way. Oaths. And the tendency in all of us is to quickly and rashly judge situations and make a vow, make an oath. This is what I would do. Jesus says, oh, no, please don't do that. Here's Jesus' teaching on it. Again, you have heard it said to people long ago, do not break your oath, but keep oaths that you made to the Lord. But I tell you, do not swear at all. In other words, it's a good idea to keep your oaths, but let's just back it up and say, let's not swear. Do not swear at all, either by heaven, for it's God's throne, or by earth, for it's God's footstool, or by Jerusalem, for it's the city of the great king. And do not swear by your head, for you cannot make even one hair white or black. Simply let your yes be yes and your no be no. Anything beyond that comes from the evil one. Why is he so against it? Remember, in their culture, the oaths that you make actually put you in bondage to that oath. It actually puts you in bondage to it. Jesus says there's a couple levels to what he's saying here. Number one, a good litmus test to your relationships is whether yes can be yes and no can be no. Seriously. If you have to create a subculture that says, well, I'll lie here, but I won't lie if I swear, that doesn't really work. One time I worked for a place, and I was just there for a short while. I love the people; they're friends of mine to this day. But this group of people, they were so full of it that they lied so much that they had to create a word and a phrase that you couldn't lie on. And the word was King Buddy Word. So if they were telling a story and it sounded way out there, they would say King Buddy Word. And if it was a lie, it's like they couldn't say King Buddy Word on it. So they created a culture. They had a culture of yes and no, and that wasn't working because they lied so much. So they created a subculture called King Buddy Word. Well, how many of you know if you'll lie on yes and no, it doesn't take long to lie on King Buddy Word? Really? So then they had to create another one, and it was King Double Buddy Word. Yes, so now you got king. So you'll lie on king buddy word, but not king double buddy word. I think by the time I left there, they were up to king quadruple buddy word. And I'm going, wait, at some point, the whole integrity thing loses all of its meaning. Jesus was really big on authenticity and openness. He's like, look, if you're journeying with someone and their yes can't be yes and their no can't be no, there's a bigger problem than oaths. It's a much bigger problem. So in the same sermon, he says this. He says, don't judge lest you be judged. And then he says something like this, and don't cast your pearls before swine. In other words, there's two ways to get what you want from someone that is very negative. One is to judge them. So if you need someone to do something, you could do it this way. You should do that. Well, that's judgment. Why? Because if they don't do it, that means they're bad somehow. I'm in a ladies' conference, so I'll step on some holy ground here for a second. A good husband would do this. Well, hang on. You wouldn't like it said to you, would you? A good wife would do this. Why? That's manipulative. It's judgment. It takes all the power out of you. It's just slavery in another form. Hang on. Something's driving you. A good wife would do this. So in other words, so if in my free will I choose not to do what you think is right, I'm bad? It's judgment. It's judgment. Casting pearls before swine. A euphemism for manipulation, like dragging someone along and they don't even understand what's happening to them. Jesus said, if you live your life like that, one day they're going to figure it out and they're going to turn on you and eat you. This is not going to be pretty. Don't live your life. Don't get what you need from others by judgments and manipulation. Don't do that. It's not a good litmus test. If you have, he said, here's how you get what you need from people. Ask, it'll be given to you. Seek, you'll find. Knock, the door will be open to you. For everyone who asks receives. He who seeks finds. And to him who knocks, the door will be open. We teach that as if it's prayer. It's not talking about prayer. He just finished his sermon on prayer. The whole context of that passage is, how do you get what you need from other people? And Jesus is saying, hey, here's how you get what you need from others. Live so authentically that you can simply ask, seek, and knock. And then he ties it to God. He says, if you ask God for a bread, does he give you a stone? And the implication is no. Essentially, if you think God plays games, then you'll play games. But if you think God doesn't play games, then you won't play games. So stop playing games. Simply ask, seek, and knock. I mean, isn't that a good litmus test for your marriage? Seriously, like, okay, all right, here's judgment and manipulation, right? You want help with the dishes, right? Right? Yeah, sure, of course. You want help with the dishes. Asking, seeking, and knocking is this. I would really like it if you could help me with the dishes. Would you mind doing that? Ask, seek, knock. It still leaves him with his dignity and his power. Here's judgment and manipulation. I wish someone around here would help me with the dishes. And now you've entered sarcasm and criticism, and then you wonder why he runs upstairs and doesn't speak. Hang on. Yeah, it's just a simple principle. Are you getting what you need by simply asking, seeking, and knocking? Or is it judgment and manipulation? Oaths and judgments always come back to you. That's the principle. Judge not, lest you be judged. In the ancient